You don't have to be a great philosopher or sage to recognize that our current relationship to the natural world is unbalanced, to say the least. There's been, over the past several years or so, something of a generational awakening amongst younger people of this disordered relationship we have to nature. It's clear there's something of a yearning for a life that is more simple and more integrated to the natural world. There's a general awareness that if we could somehow just throw our phones into Mount Doom and go and touch grass, we would be much happier. Now, there's been plenty of videos thrown into the void pointing out this fact. What I'm more interested in, however, is why this is the case. Philosophically speaking, why does being more connected to the natural world make one feel more satisfied? Is there a rational grounds for this idea, or is it just some hippie nonsense? I'd like to suggest that the reason for this connection between happiness and touching grass is because it accords with the very nature of reality. Now, I'd like to preface this video by saying I don't know a lot of things, but just hear me out. Our lives are so disconnected from the natural world. We spend the majority of our lives indoors, under artificial light, staring at screens which mediate to us the world out there. Reality for us has become fundamentally technological. Technology is the touchstone of our entire lives. Our work, our relationships, our leisure, our politics, our religion. Everything we do is through technology. Technology is what is natural to us. And for those of us who very occasionally long for a break from this technological world, what do? What is our first impulse? We go outside, we go for a walk in a nice park, we go for a swim at the beach, we sit in the sun. This very action of going outside, however, is to escape from what is actually real to us, which is the technological. Going outside is no longer natural to us, it's foreign. It's another world entirely separated from the world in which we live, which is the technological. And even when we're outside in this other world, because our souls have become so conditioned by the technological, that is where they continue to reside. What is our first impulse when we see a beautiful sunset? We seek to document it and post about it on social media. Everything we do is referred back to the technological. Technology has shaped us and made us into a different kind of people from those who have gone before us. It has changed the way that we view everything. The separation between man and the natural world certainly has its roots in modernity. And when I say modernity, what I'm referring to is the philosophies that really defined the modern era. Now, there's quite a bit of disparity in modern philosophy, and I don't mean to oversimplify an entire era of philosophical thought that I'm not especially versed in. But one thing that is undeniably unique in the modern period is this shift to the subject as the ultimate grounds of reality. In the history of philosophy, this is typically known as the modern turn to the subject. The desire to make philosophy as certain as science and mathematics led many philosophers in the modern period to deny the reality of the world outside of the subject, or at least our ability to come to know the world outside the subject. I'm thinking here especially of philosophers like René Descartes, who drew this separation between res cogitans, the mind, and res extensa, extension, or those things that exist outside the mind. What this effectively resulted in was a separation between the world out there and the world as it exists in our minds. Man was viewed not as being part of nature, but entirely separate from it. And nature, if it even exists at all, is simply external raw matter out there in space, just atoms bouncing around in the void. Man is not a participant in an ordered cosmos, but rather an observer and user of a neutral environment that can never really be known. Reducing and situating nature in such a way deprives it of any meaning or purpose. Nature so construed loses all of its moral and spiritual significance. It cannot lead one to contemplation because its existence cannot be surely known. It communicates nothing, reveals nothing, is nothing. Instead, the natural world is just stuff, data, mass, resource. It is there for us to dominate, to make use of, to abuse. Once nature becomes meaningless, its sole purpose is to be manipulated, to be controlled, or to be bent and twisted to the disordered will of the exalted self. This is the technological world we live in. It flows logically from the idea that man is separate from nature, and that nature is nothing but atoms in the void, if anything at all. What this phrase, touch grass, reflects, I believe, is an intuitive rejection of this technological worldview that we've kind of subconsciously adopted. Something deep in our psyche is utterly repulsed by this vision of reality. And the reason why is because it's false. It's not actually true. Deep down, a growing number of us are realizing and becoming aware that this disintegrated, disenchanted view of creation and our relationship to creation is not healthy, that it's killing us. We're subconsciously reacting to this false separation that we've drawn between our minds and the created world. To touch grass is to acknowledge the reality of the world out there. To touch grass is to step off the throne of the exalted self and be outward focused, to be attentive and present to things as they reveal themselves to us. And for those with eyes to see, to touch grass is to take a first step towards recognizing the creator of all things, God. All creation tends towards the creator. And I honestly reckon that if more people would just get off technology and step outside, touch grass, look up, breathe the air, I think more people would believe in God. And the reason for this is that creation reveals the creator. And this isn't just some kind of like hippie weirdo idea. This view of the natural world was common in ages gone past. I'm thinking here of particularly St. Thomas Aquinas. For St. Thomas Aquinas, all created being must participate in some manner in he who is being itself. Or in other words, everything that is created must in some way participate in the creator himself. As such, it is through contemplation of created things that we can come to know something of the created God. The created order, through its radical contingency, points to an uncreated reality, radically necessary. But I don't know, I'm just some guy chilling in a river. These are just some like random thoughts I have. You look at social media and it kind of just looks like everything's going to crap. And it probably is. Like the world's probably like doomed one day. But I reckon there's still much that is fair in the world. And I honestly reckon if more people just like got off their phones, logged off and chilled in a river, I think the world would be a much better place. So, yeah, Pache.